And by Muslims I mean the cultural, traditional definition and image. You could see from the clothing that these are Muslims. You could see from the way they appear, the ladies as well as the men. You can see they go about their ritual business with a great fervor and determination. They were very committed to their lifestyle. They, like many other Muslim communities, have no shortage of Islamic universities known as Darul Ulum. They have hundreds of them. There was no shortage of shuyukh, people who constitute the board of ulama, the scholars of their country. There was no shortage of that. There was no shortage of masjids. Almost every nearby place there was a masjid. And make no doubt about this, the masjids are packed. Especially on Jummah. The masjids are packed. But in my dialogue with leaders of that community and with lay people of that community, my humble observation is what I'm sharing with you. Because nothing will stop you and me in this community from following their examples. Because throughout the Muslim world, wherever you go, or the Muslim communities wherever you travel, you see cultural Islam, traditional Islam, more than Qur'anic, intellectual, practical Islam. And I'll give you some examples. The Qur'an teaches us about the equality of genders. The Qur'an teaches us about the equality of genders. That no man is superior to any woman. Maybe in their human society, they make their own laws. And they create situations where men are considered superior and women inferior. But this is not the teaching of the Qur'an. They unfortunately drag the name of this mighty messenger, Mohamed, because that's the way they get credibility for their cultural stagnation. They use his name in the name of hadith. And so when you hear the name of the Prophet, you got to be crazy to want to oppose that. So that's what they do. There's a hadith for almost every aspect of their life. The problem, there is no hadith of how to get out of this nonsense that they're in. There is no hadith to get out of their stagnation. There is no hadith to get out of their darkness. There is no hadith to get out of their progress. But they're worried about all the hadith for all the extreme things. So, saying about what I observe that while the Qur'an teaches us equality of gender, and you can go to chapter 4, which incidentally is translated as Surah An-Nisa. And the most popular translation of this is woman. Chapter 4, verse 1. And if you go to that chapter, and you read it without prejudice, and you study the language and the phraseology of the verse without any external influence, you will see Allah is talking about creating the genders from a common entity, male and female. And there is nowhere in the Qur'an that man is said to be superior to a woman and a woman is inferior to a man, and that God is pro-man and anti-woman. But if you travel in the Muslim communities, and Canada still has examples of that, women in the relative and the well-known Muslim communities, women have no place. If you're from Sri Lanka, or you're from Pakistan, or you're from Bangladesh, or you're from the Arab countries, just to give a sample, women have no place in the masjid. They cannot even attend the Jummah. And you could imagine the people who attended the Jummah, most of them fall asleep. Because this is a ritual, this is a norm. They don't expect to benefit significantly from what they hear. They have a placebo. This is a placebo. You know what's a placebo? Doctors sometimes give patients a placebo so that the patient will think they are getting something that is real, relevant to their needs, their medical condition, but actually it might just be what we know as saline. It might be just glucose. It has nothing specific to do with any particular disease or anything. Or I was given a situation of a young man who believes that he's sick, and ever so often he behaves as if he's sick, and he goes to the doctor for so many times, and the doctor admits he gives him vitamin C. He gives him vitamin C and he thinks once he gets this tablet, he's cured. So there are many, hundreds of thousands who go to the masjid on Friday. And the same thing happens here in Canada, in Toronto, in Richmond Hill, in any part of this city. And I sat down a few of them and I said, tell me something. You've been coming to the Jummah every week? He says, yes, we have to come. I said, will you miss? He says, cannot miss. Alright? So you know the reason. If you miss 3 consecutive Jummah, you're a kafir. That's the traditional knowledge. So people go to the masjid, they come to this place. I'm not necessarily saying you, hope it's not you. Because all these years I've been talking to you, I hope I'm not totally stupid. There's some sense coming from me to you, and by now you should be more sensible. But the average Muslim who goes to the average masjid all over this country and all over the Muslim world, they really don't know why they go. But in that Muslim community, they go because of a tradition. They shut shop. They close their business. They are there for Jummah. They're well dressed. You could see them looking like Arabs, and this has become the growing culture in that community. Arab culture and Arab wealth talk loud now. You can see the women. You don't experience a transformation of quality, personality and knowledge with Qur'an especially, but you see a transformation from somebody who never used to dress with even the traditional dress of the East. They are now fully dressed like Arabs. And you will see the men who used to wear slacks and pants like you and I. They put this aside. They now wear jalabiya, abaya. They're fully like that. And you and I know, I hope by now, that the Quran does not specify any cultural dress for any human being. It specifies sublime characteristics that must be part of our dress. But in that society, people were told this is what is part of the sunnah of the Prophet. And that's the next confusing term. If you take 20 Muslims and put them down and say, tell me what's the sunnah, you might get 22 different things. This is a very confusing community. Whether they live in Canada, or they live in the Arab world, or they live in Asia. And I've been all there. They don't know what is around their neck. So I said to them, you go to the masjid 52 weeks? Yes. Can you tell me what you learned the year before? You don't know.